A violent and ticketless mob, numbering 2,000, tailgated, stormed disabled gates or fire exits and broke into the stadium.
Kicking Mateta. The FA Cup was rocked by some unprecedented violence on the pitch in 2025 when Millwall goalkeeper Liam Roberts kicked Crystal Palace forward Jean-Philippe Mateta in the head.
How surprised were you that Michael Oliver gave a yellow card initially and had to go to the monitor?
Violence in football fans is a well-known phenomenon that all of the world's football organisations are intent on cracking down on. But scenes like this between players on the pitch are a world away from the usual tackles we see.
He's raced out of his box very unwisely. He's almost, to use Stephen's words at times, he's panicked, hasn't he?
Mateta's injuries were severe, with his ear needing cosmetic surgery and 25 stitches to be repaired after the damage Roberts did. Roberts has since received a 3-match ban, eventually increased to 6 matches, while Millwall supporters were chanting "Let him die" from the stands during the incident.
They always have the power to increase a ban if they feel it's warranted.
The Ryan Giggs scandal.
Basically, Ryan Giggs has spent an awful lot of money to ensure that he's become world famous for stuff other than football.
In 2011, an anonymous footballer took out a super injunction to stop the tabloids reporting on his affair with a Big Brother contestant and beauty pageant star, but he wasn't anonymous for long. It was an open secret that Ryan Giggs was the footballer in question, and he was eventually named after somebody leaked the details of the injunction on Twitter.
Well, the law is clear. There is still a court order in force which says that we can't name Ryan Giggs as the person who brought these proceedings.
Though a footballer cheating on his wife isn't that big a news item, the real issue was these super injunctions themselves, and how easy it seemed to be for public figures to take them out and stop journalists from reporting on even the fact that such injunctions existed. It was MP John Hemming who used his parliamentary privilege to officially name Giggs.
With about 75,000 people having named Ryan Giggs on Twitter, it's obviously impracticable to imprison them all.
2013 match-fixing ring.
The investigators said officials and players were bribed as part of a sophisticated organised crime operation.
In late 2013, newspaper investigations led to multiple arrests of people allegedly involved in match-fixing in football. The ringleader in the UK seemed to be centre-back Sam Sojay, who allegedly said that he could get large cash payments to footballers willing to get red cards during League One matches.
So this is match-fixing activity on a scale that we've not seen before, involving hundreds of criminals and corrupted officials and players.
Other people were arrested and put on trial for conspiracy to commit bribery, with 5 people in total being found guilty of the offences. Only one of the accused was cleared. But investigations also found that match-fixing was rife throughout Europe, including in the Champions League, with much of it linked to shady international gambling websites.
We're talking games affected, including a World Cup qualifier, European Championship qualifiers, domestic European leagues, and interestingly for England, 2 Champions League games.
Wayne Rooney's affairs.
We're lucky that we've both, had the strength and support of each other and people around us.
From Ryan Giggs to Wayne Rooney, Rooney is even more widely known for his scandalous life off the pitch than Giggsy. The first scandal that attached itself to him involved a grandmother named Patricia Tiernan, though Tiernan has always denied that she was a sex worker at the brothel Rooney had visited and that they'd slept together, though she did see him there while working at the reception.
The person responsible for Colleen being judged was Wayne Rooney. He did what he did.
Later, he was linked more than once to another lady of the night, Jennifer Thompson, including one incident where it was alleged he'd paid for a 3-way. He was done for drink driving with another woman in 2017 and has been spotted in suspicious circumstances with many more. Somehow, Colleen has forgiven him every time.
Have you forgiven?
I wouldn't be standing here if I hadn't forgiven him.
When these things have happened, we've sat down and I've
explained what's happened.
FIFA corruption.
Even by FIFA standards, these are extraordinary developments.
In the 2010s, some people at FIFA thought it was suspicious that FIFA itself had decided to award the 2018 and 2022 World Cups to Russia and Qatar respectively, and appointed external investigators to work out whether officials had been bribed.
Who cooperated with the FIFA inquiry?
The English.
Yes, no one except the English and the Australians, and definitely not the Russians or the Qataris.
Russia responded by claiming every computer used in the World Cup bidding process had been destroyed, while Qatar was found to have paid someone to secure at least one vote, though this was dismissed because it was only one vote out of the 13 needed.
It was simply that the Russians were unable to provide more than a few documents from the bidding process because the computers they used during their bid had been leased, they were returned and subsequently destroyed by their original.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, in 2024, it was announced that Saudi Arabia had been awarded the 2034 competition.
At the moment, 9 FIFA officials face corruption charges.
R.V. Terry.
Now, the England defender John Terry has denied that he snapped and used a racist obscenity after he was taunted by fellow player Anton Ferdinand.
Back in 2012, John Terry was taken to court after being charged with racially abusing Anton Ferdinand of Queen's Park Rangers. He was found not guilty of the specific charge of using racist language, and it was argued that the video evidence wasn't entirely clear.
Terry claimed he was sarcastically repeating the words Ferdinand thought he had used.
Ferdinand himself hadn't even heard what Terry had said, with the case against him being brought forward by the FA itself. Regardless of the court case, Terry was stripped of the England captaincy by the FA, and soon enough the FA became the story. When its shoddy investigative work was called into question, Terry was banned from playing for 4 matches.
Everyone else was saying, don't say nothing, let the lawyers deal with it, let this go to court, it'll be sorted out.
Storming Wembley.
Wembley only 3/4 full, COVID restrictions relaxed, no fan zones nearby, and England in their first major final in 55 years.
In 2021, England got all the way to the delayed finals of the 2020 Euros against Italy, and what followed was one of the darkest recent days in European football. A violent minority of England supporters who turned up on the day without buying tickets were so desperate to get into the stands that they broke down barriers, stormed the stadium, and overwhelmed security.
I was horrified. The scenes of disorder were horrific.
These groups were already violent before the match began, causing chaos throughout London before attacking the fans who had bought tickets and attended normally. But the situation got even worse after the match.
It's not about being a football fan or anything like that. It's getting what you can for free. It's preying on the weak, if you like.
With England ultimately losing on penalties, the violence escalated even more, and the players who took those penalties were ruthlessly harassed with death threats and slurs. English football corruption.
Tapping up would normally work by a covert meeting being arranged between an agent and a player, or a club official and a player.
In 2006, Panorama led an investigation into corruption in English football, investigating a slew of high-profile managers and executives, including the Apprentice's Baroness Karen Brady, who was arrested and questioned but never charged with anything. Specifically, club officials were alleged to be trying to bribe players into transferring to other teams and conspiring to tap them up, and many were filmed by Panorama as part of the investigation.
Tonight, Peter was touting an England junior international from Middlesbrough called Nathan Porritt.
6 agents were ultimately charged by the FA, though many of the charges were dropped. A handful did admit it though, and the FA has certainly cracked down on these types of bribes since, as far as we know anyway.
The clubs aren't supposed to meet the player, but I had Newcastle at my house.
Murder of Andreas Escobar.
On June 22nd in Pasadena's Rose Bowl, the U.S. won a 2-1 game in which Colombia defender Andres Escobar accidentally kicked the ball into his own net.
One of the most horrific moments in the history of football came on the 2nd of July 1994, when Colombian centre-back Andreas Escobar was murdered in a car park in the early hours of the morning. He was recognised and approached by 3 men and subsequently shot, all because he'd scored an own goal in a group stage match between Colombia and the US in that year's World Cup.
The team returned home on Wednesday to anonymous threats that were carried out.
The killers were caught and were sentenced to decades in prison, though they didn't serve that long. It's believed that they were cartel members who'd lost money on the match. It was a diabolical incident, a national tragedy for Colombia. Escobar was commended with a statue, and his charitable legacy lives on.
It was at 3:30 a.m. in front of this restaurant. 27-year-old Andres Escobar got into his car. He was surrounded and shot 12 times.
The Sun reports on Hillsborough.
I was at the match yesterday and saw firsthand the tragedy before my eyes.
The behaviour of South Yorkshire Police at Hillsborough Stadium that day was appalling and led directly to the overcrowding of the pen, with 6 people finally being charged for the disaster in 2017 after multiple inquiries.
Senior South Yorkshire officers, in the absence of their own chief constable, declined to discuss the policing of yesterday's match and left at once.
But something else happened in the aftermath of Hillsborough, something that led to the entire city of Liverpool refusing to buy copies of The Sun to this day. The Sun published a front page titled "The Truth," full of slander, blaming Liverpool supporters for the violence and making outrageous false claims about the behaviour of fans who, in reality, were trying to save as many people from the stands as they could.
Among those who died on soccer's blackest day were many lifelong Liverpool fans.
Let us know which sporting tragedies affected you the most.
The crowds have been making their way to Hillsborough again today, many fewer and in an altogether different mood from that of yesterday afternoon.